You know, in this life, people look out and set dreams and goals, and you see other things that people may have accomplished, and you see a projected image of what their life is like, and that's something that we tend to desire. We use that as a guideline for the goals and things that we want to accomplish ourselves. You know, you may see a person driving a particular car or living in a particular house, and you say, well, what do they do for a living? And you say, well, okay, they're a doctor or they're a lawyer. We say, you know what, I want to do that. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer because I want that projected image. I want that desired life. And you have to understand something that, see, we as a people, we begin to say that we are willing to accept that opportunity gain. So there's opportunity, and opportunity comes with gain and with cost. And because of the things that we see that this life has to offer, we say that we're willing to gain those particular things. You know, think of it like climbing a mountain. So if we're going to climb Mount Everest, see, down at the bottom of Mount Everest, the base is wide, and there's a lot of people there, and there's probably a gift shop there, and people selling t-shirts and all kind of stuff. But you know, the truth of the matter is that everybody who goes to the base won't get to the top. See, everybody standing at the base looks up at the top. And you got to understand that everybody wants to be at the top, but nobody wants to talk about the climb. See, the climb is so significant because the climb represents the cost of that opportunity. See, climbing Mount Everest, that's more than a one-day trip. See, some things you won't be able to accomplish until, you know, before the sun goes down. So if you can't climb this mountain before the sun goes down, that means it's going to come a time where it's going to be dark and you may not be able to see where the next step is, or the air may get a little hard to breathe, and you're going to have to do some relying on some tools that you develop. You may have to use a compass and use that to guide you and see your way as you go through. And it's the same thing with your goals in life. You know, there are things that you can desire to be, and there's going to come a time where you may have to step out on faith and not see where it is that you're going, and may not know where that next step is, or may not know where that next grip is, but you got to step on out and go anyway. That's all about paying the cost. See, the things that you set out and desire to have, the goals and the dreams that you want to accomplish, see, those are your goals and those are your dreams. So therefore, you should be willing to pay a different cost. You should be willing to pay a greater cost to achieve them than anybody else. See, it's your goal and it's your dream, so therefore, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. You know, some of the people that are closest to you, they may look at you and say, man, you crazy. There's no way that's going to happen. You know, I had somebody tell me once, if my dreams, if your dreams, if nobody's laughing at your dreams, then they're not big enough. So you got to understand it. Your goal, you're willing to pay a cost for it that nobody else is willing to pay. You know, I got asked one time, somebody said to me, they said, well, Coach, how come you go so hard? And my response to that is simple. You know, I have no other choice. See, I have a rejection box at my folks' house, you know, back in Florida, and that box has 62 letters in it. 62 times I applied for college jobs, and I was told, you know, we're going to go with someone else. You don't have enough experience. You're not good enough. You don't know enough. We're going to go a different direction. 62 times. You know, over the course of that time, I can remember studying multiple offenses, and I have a little steno book that I keep, and I draw basketball plays. If something new comes to my mind, I draw it up. Or if I'm learning a system, I draw up every in and out to it. And I call it my holy grail. You know, this whole time I remember being on airplanes and not even being able to sleep because I wanted to not let a moment go by where I wasn't working on my craft and getting better. And you know, there came a time where I had to step out into that darkness, and you know, going to Dallas to the NABC coaches convention, I found myself standing in line waiting to get a muffin. And a gentleman, you know, I'm standing there and I got a shirt and tie and stuff, and I'm all nervous, and And this gentleman standing behind me, he said, well, coach, tell me something that your team runs against a zone. And I took 3 sugar packets and a salt and pepper shaker, and I started diagramming offense. And I was only able to do that because I had done the preparation. I had done the work ahead of time so that I knew I was ready. I was ready and I was prepared. Come to find out later on that night, you know, I ended up getting offered a job, and I took it, you know, and I moved 48 hours away from home. See, I was willing to gain the opportunity of becoming a coach. I was willing to gain the opportunity of becoming a college coach. But see, that is associated with a cost. And you got to understand, the way you pay that cost is not with money. It's not with credit cards. It's not with cash. There's one way that you pay that cost, and that cost is paid through will. It's through dedication. It's through determination. It's through perseverance. It's through will. You know, your will is the difference. And I'm really excited. You know, I just love my last name because my last name is Willis. And when you take my last name, is 2 words. It's simply will is. And that's the difference. See, that is the Willis difference. My will is greater. You know, I don't claim to be the smartest guy or the most talented coach, or, you know, if you're in a room full of 200 people and everybody in there got degrees and everybody in there got business cards and everybody in there dressed up, and what separates you? Why should somebody pick you? I'll tell you why. It has to be your will. My will is different. My will is greater than the next man. I'm willing to pay a greater cost. I'm willing to work harder. I'm willing to study more tape. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to reach my goal. Opportunity, gain versus cost. Will is the difference.